let's shift back and pivot back to NWSL news here, Lisa. We have to chat about some end of the year awards. So while the NWSL postseason is thrilling, the quarterfinals absolutely set the tone for what we're probably going to see throughout the remainder of the NWSL playoffs. What the other side of that is that when it's the end of the regular season, as you're going into the postseason, you start getting a look at individual awards, right? So who are the nominees? What's up for grabs? And you have your staples, right? MVP is up for grabs. Defender of the year is up for grabs. Goalkeeper of the year, rookie of the year, coach of the year. So what we have now are finalists for each one. Voting has concluded. So I hate to break it to you, if you were unable to vote for any of the end of the year awards, I believe the deadline was October the 18th, just ahead of midnight. But these are the finalists. We wanted to show them some love and give them some respect for earning nominations and being a finalist within these awards. Let's start at the top. Let's start with most valuable player. MVP honors finalists are listed as follow. We've got 5 in the category: Dabinia out of North Carolina Courage, Naomi Girma, San Diego Wave FC, Alex Morgan also repping San Diego, Mal Pugh, Chicago Red Stars, and Sophia Smith for Portland Thorns. I saw the finalist drop, Lisa. I said, this makes sense. I said, this is a good 5 finalists for MVP. I think you can make an argument for any of these players, quite frankly. To sort of get MVP honors. Anyone maybe kind of leading these 5 for you?
Perhaps leading, it's really tough because you have to look at the overall play of this particular athlete as well as how their team did, right? Because if you're an MVP of a league, your team has to be doing so incredibly well. So Naomi Girma being nominated for this, rookie out of Stanford, that is a huge accomplishment. I love that she's nominated. I think it's so well deserved. I don't think Girma is going to win. She's nominated for a number of other awards as well. So I just don't see her winning the MVP. I would love for Dabinia to get this award. I think that she had a tremendous season with North Carolina, but the fact that North Carolina fell just short of making the postseason deters me a little bit from seeing that Dabinia win this one. Honestly, I think Sophia Smith is up there for me as one of the top players who was incredibly consistent this year. She developed from Challenge Cup all the way until this postseason. Portland finished number 2 in the standings. And then, of course, you've got Alex Morgan, your Golden Boot winner, and then Mallory Pugh, who's been on a tear. But I think Smith and Pugh are similar style players in what they've been able to do this year. And I think Smith takes the cake a little bit over Pugh for me in this one. But Golden Boot winner, Alex Morgan can win it as well.
That's true. We've seen a trend sometimes in the past that the Golden Boot winner sort of walks away with MVP honors. I believe it's only twice in the league's history where that hasn't sort of shook out in that final way. I believe there was a year in 2018 where I believe Sam Kerr got Golden Boot and Lindsey Horan got MVP honors. And I believe last year was also different in that Hatch got Golden Boot honors and Jess Fishlock won MVP honors. So I'm curious if there's going to be the bounce back to that, if somebody like Alex Morgan is going to walk away with Golden Boot and MVP honors. But I'm with you. I think you have to look at sort of a balanced season. You have to look at, the team and who they're representing and where they sort of, landed towards the end of the regular season. And I think in that case, Morgan does have a little bit of an argument, but I'm with you on Sophia Smith and Mal Pugh, because I think you also want to look at a balanced season. Well, right. I think that's where Dabinia maybe falls off a little bit, outstanding season that she was able to put together for North Carolina Courage. But a lot of what we saw out of Dabinia was towards the end of that second half of the season, really kind of bringing that surge later into the regular season, where somebody like Smith and a Pugh and a Morgan you can sort of see their impact throughout the duration of the regular season. So I think it might come down to that trio. Although, listen, I would love to see a defender win MVP.
I know.
I would love to see it. I think Naomi Girma might have her. Might be a lock for a different award, which she's nominated for a few. It's not just MVP. Defender of the Year honors finalists consist of Alana Cook, Naomi Girma, Sophia Huerta, Carson Pickett, and Becky Sauerbrunn. Lisa, listen, I'm just gonna put it out there. I want to see Defender of the Year. I want to see it go to a center back. I love outside backs. I love fullbacks. I think they're integral to the modern era of the game. But if you're getting nominated because of the assists that you're providing or the goals that you're scoring as a defender, that doesn't scream Defender of the Year honors for me. So I'm looking at Carson Pickett in this one I'm looking at Naomi Girma to walk away with this one over somebody like a Sophia Huerta or a Carson Pickett. How about you?
I agree. I mean, I think we talked about this last year too. I know you and I personally have talked about this. A Defender of the Year shouldn't be someone that like has the most assists on a team. Like I want you as like a lockdown defender, like a 1v1 defender that no one gets by you. And Naomi Girma, 100%, like this, she wins this award for me. It's no competition. The other defenders that are nominated, Huerta, Pickett, Cook, Sauerbrunn, like fantastic defenders. It's no shade towards them. This is, I mean, an incredibly competitive group. But when you look at the arc of the season and what Girma was able to do, grow as she's a rookie and she has solidified herself in Casey Stoney's backline as a team that expansion side made it to the playoffs, made it past the quarterfinals, like heading into what could be the championship of this NWSL. She's also about to be the United States starting center back moving forward. It's Girma 100%. Like there's just no question about it in my mind.
I love that. You're like, there's no question about it in my mind. You gotta add that it's your opinion. But no, I'm with you. I had a feeling that you and I would both sort of feel similarly about this award and who we think it might go to. Let's stick with sort of the defensive end of things. Let's look at Goalkeeper of the Year. 3 nominees for this one compared to 5 nominees for MVP and Defender of the Year and Rookie of the Year. So for Goalkeeper of the Year, it's A.D. French, Kaylin Sheridan, and Fallon Tullis Joyce. So you've got Kansas City, San Diego, and the Reign representing for Goalkeeper of the Year here. I think these are all outstanding goalkeepers. I thought they each had integral roles to play for each of these teams throughout the year. But when I'm looking at a goalkeeper that really sort of came through clutch and quite frankly made a name for themselves throughout this season, I'm looking at Fallon Tullis Joyce for the honor.
Yeah. I agree with you, Sandra, on this one. This one's really, really hard though, because these 3 goalkeepers had tremendous years. Both French and Sheridan like made it past the quarterfinals with their teams respectively into the postseason and kept their teams in a lot of games. But I agree. I think Fallon Tullis Joyce all year has been constantly talked about. I mean, it's hard though, because like, this one's really, really difficult for me because we know that Sheridan and French are incredibly goalkeepers. Like last year, we would have said that, yeah, they're great goalkeepers. I think French stepped it up this year and became a little bit better of a goalkeeper than she was perhaps in years past. Sheridan coming off of a Olympic gold with Canada and internationally doing everything that she does. Like, yes, of course she's good. She should be nominated for this. But I think that the best part about Fallon Tullis Joyce is that this was her first year in the NWSL. She played professionally before overseas, but came into this league, started and played every single minute under Laura Harvey for OL Reign. And they won the Shield a lot due in part to Fallon Tullis Joyce. I give it to Fallon Tullis Joyce for sure. I do.
Yeah, I think you can go back and take a look at sort of, even something like goals conceded, stuff like that. And that's kind of maybe more of a overall defensive shaped kind of statistic. But I believe with Allred, I think it's maybe 18 or 19 goals conceded at this point compared to French and their defense. think of conceding about like almost about around 30 or so. So it's going to be tight. I think this one out of all of the finalists, I think this is going to be down to the wire. I think every vote's going to count, right? Kind of in this category. Let's take a look at Rookie of the Year. We're going back to three finalists as well for this role as well. It's Sam Coffey, Naomi Girma, and Diana Ordonez in this category. 3 rookies, 3 big seasons. I would argue that any of these players could have a strong argument for the role that they played on their teams, how essential they were, quite frankly, in their positions for their teams. But just when I thought, Lisa, that this was the year that there was going to be a defender as Rookie of the Year,
I know,
in Naomi Girma, Diana Ordonez just went ahead and did that. She just shattered a rookie record for most goals scored. I mean, eclipsed Rodman's goal scoring record in 2021, and quite frankly, helped North Carolina make some noise during this second half of the season where they were making a playoff push. But strong candidates, I think, in each of these players.
Yes, strong candidates. I still think Girma could honestly win this one. Yeah. And I echo everything that you just said about Ordonez because she did shatter goal scoring rookie records in the NWSL. But it's so easy for people to look at that and say, yeah, she deserves this. I think Sam Coffey could win this award flat out because this is a player that came in, developed herself in a brand new role at Penn State. She played higher up the field in the midfield. She was an attacking midfielder, and Rian Wilkinson dropped her deeper. She filled in for Angela Salem, right? Like, lest we not forget the role that Angela Salem played on this Portland Thorns team in the midfield. And after she retired last year, it was like, okay, Portland, how are they going to be without Salem in the midfield? Who's going to lock it down? And you get a rookie and Sam Coffey coming in and seamlessly having that transition be seen from Salem to Coffey. And this is a player that broke into the U.S. senior national team, got consistent minutes under Vlatko Andonovski, and her play with Portland was fantastic this year. So, like, this is sometimes like opening the voting to just like regular fans, like, gets me a little bit skewed because I want to like make a case for someone like Coffey who doesn't have crazy stats. It's not like, hey, she scored 12 goals this year, or like someone like Girma that, like, defensively, like, stops so many goals because the defensive midfield role is such a silent role, and Coffey played it silently, but that's exactly how it should be played. That's exactly how it should be.
Oh no, I'm with you 100%. I do know that the finalists for those of us who are part of the NWSL Media Association, we do vote on finalists. I was a little bit surprised that Coffey did end up on this category, not because I don't think she deserves it, just because of how strong the 2022 rookie class is, and because of the arguments that you just made, where you're just kind of like the player that does sort of the dirty work and is sort of maybe not getting all the attention because their name isn't getting called all the time, whether it's goal scoring and stuff like that, can sometimes fall under the radar. So I was thrilled to see that she was listed as a finalist because of all those things that you mentioned. But, I almost kind of like, geez, like, if there was ever a year to expand the finalists for Rookie of the Year, like, this would have been the year to do that, because I'm like, you can make
who else would you have wanted nominated for Rookie of the Year that's not?
Oh my God, absolutely, Alex Loera. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I thought the year that Loera put together for Kansas City Current was outstanding. I think there was a lot that we're talking about a lot that's asked of players positionally. You made a great argument with Sam Coffey, sort of taking her and where she played positionally in college, and then sort of slotting her in more of a defensive midi role for Portland. I think you're looking at a player like Loera and sort of seeing how she has had to sort of play lower, kind of in the defensive back at times, or pushed higher, kind of in that defensive mid role, wherever they were slotting her in. she was, she was sort of going ahead and delivering in those things. And I mean, my God, we look at just this quarterfinal match alone. She was integral to that buildup in that game-winning goal. So I absolutely think that Alex Loera had a case for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I like that argument. I understand why she's not nominated, though. I think that the role that she played at Kansas City was incredibly vital for the current team and their success. But when you stack her up against someone like Germa or Donia's Coffee, I think that these three outshine what she was able to do this year, because she played such like a detailed role for Kansas City, whether she was in the center back, we saw her in the outside back, we saw her higher up the field. So like that versatility definitely gives her a notch up over these other rookies, but that because she was constantly moving around and playing different roles for Kansas City, she lacked a little bit of consistency in what she was able to do, because there would be moments, whether it was like a game or two games, where it was like, hey, like she's quiet, she's silent. Whereas I believe that every game that Coffee played in, Germa played in, and Ordonez for the most part played in, it was, you always knew where they were. You always knew what was happening when they got on the ball or got near the ball. And for me, like Alex Luera, that didn't quite happen. Now, halfway through this season, I probably would have said, yeah, let's throw Luera on there. Let's throw Savannah DeMello on this list. But as the season goes and players come in and out, it's Rookie of the Year. You've got to be incredibly consistent, if not getting better and better and better by the end of the season. And with Coffee, Germa, and Ordonez, they got better and better and better as this year went on.
I feel that 100%. I think that's probably the best sort of closing argument, I think, for these three in Rookie of the Year. Let's take a look at maybe the non-player award to sort of close things out. Coach of the Year finalists are as follows. It's Laura Harvey, Matt Potter, and Casey Stoney, with the honors finalist for 2022 NWSL Coach of the Year. I feel like this year's finalists were some of the easiest to choose and vote for, quite frankly, in this award. I don't know how you look at the continued success and legacy of Laura Harvey and ignore that. She absolutely got a vote out of me. Matt Potter, the turnaround that the Current have had this year, going from last place to now a semifinal appearance for the Current, I thought was huge. And Casey Stoney, obviously, right? First year in the league, playoff bound, now also going to the semifinals as well. That San Diego team never fell out of playoff contention throughout the duration of the regular season. I thought it was a no-brainer for these three as finalists in this category.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Laura Harvey's going to win it, not because she's not a great coach, but just stacked up against Potter and Stoney, I just don't think Harvey's going to win it. I mean, when you look at the start of the year that OL Reign had, like they struggled. They really struggled to find the back of the net. It took a while for them to turn things around. And the comparison for Matt Potter to take this team that was the last ranked team ending the year in 2021 and make them a playoff contender, moving right along into the semifinal. I think Potter could definitely win this one. And I really like the looks of Casey Stoney winning this. As you said, an expansion side coming in, making differences and changing things. But for me personally, I give my vote to Matt Potter on this one, because when you look at the roster that he was handed at the start of this year, all the injuries that Kansas City faced, and how he was able to utilize so many rookies on this Kansas City side to make them a great team and really, really play as a group of 11 on the pitch, right? Like you've got Elise Bennett, you've got Alex Luera, you've got Jenna Weinbrenner. Like you have so many young, inexperienced players. And to make a team that is so cohesive out of that is incredibly, incredibly impressive when you're without what would be your superstars in Sam Ewis and Lynn Williams. And like Casey Stoney, right? Like obviously a great coach. Like these are all incredible coaches, but like she does have some superstars on her team. She's got big superstars on her team that I think help carry the load a little bit off of the coach's back, right? You've got Kaylin Sheridan in goal, nominated for Goalkeeper of the Year. You've got Naomi Germa, nominated for Defender of the Year, Rookie of the Year, MVP. You've got Alex Mordan, Golden Boot winner, nominated for MVP of the Year. I think that when you have such a star-driven team, it takes a little bit of the shine away just from the coach. And it's not Casey
No, I
Stoney.
hear you.
It's not Casey Stoney's fault, but I'm saying like Matt Potter has like he's created such a team at Kansas City, so that's why I give my vote to him.
No, I feel you. I think it's a good case to make for Potter. I think when you're looking at Harvey and Stoney, you can sort of have that similar argument, like you just mentioned, sort of having
Yes.
big stars with big experience and sort of, helping their head coaches navigate the seasons, right? Big time players who come up with big time moments. And each of those coaches have that in, Harvey and somebody like a Rapinoe, or Stoney and somebody like an Alex Morgan. But looking at these three, I do wonder if Matt Potter is perhaps the dark horse of the three of them, right? I think folks will maybe look at the hardware, the fact that Harvey, is coming out of this season no matter what with a third NWSL shield with this Reign franchise. The fact that Stoney is doing what she did, coming from a women's super league that just plays a bit differently, and coming into this league and immediately making adjustments to get her team situated and get familiarized with the very transitional play of NWSL. It's tough to have so many stars in your locker room and make sure that they're a cohesive unit.
Yep.
The other side of that argument is that that's no easy task either, right? So I have a feeling Potter might be the dark horse of these three, and it might come down to Harvey and Stoney. But I think I just can't overlook what Stoney has done with the San Diego this year, in light of also maybe having to navigate some injuries at times with players. And I think what they put together this year is very, very special. So I wouldn't be surprised if Stoney walks away with this one. But we'll see how they shake out. Like I said, voting has concluded for these, and we'll eventually start getting the winners. They will eventually tally these, total votes up, and we'll start seeing the winners. I believe the voting is broken down between players, coaches, media, and fans as well. Everyone sort of getting a certain percentage of the pie. I believe player and coaching votes weighing much heavier than media and or fan votes. So we'll see how everything kind of shakes out for the end of the year awards.